Today, we're diving into one of the most incredible visions ever recorded. We're talking about a city descending from heaven, streets made of transparent gold, and a world with no more suffering. Yep, we're unpacking the Bible's final chapter and its description of humanity's ultimate home. So, what does the Bible actually say about the future of humanity? Well, we're going to explore a really specific interpretation that comes from a deep dive into the book of Revelation. It's a vision that has captivated people for thousands of years, so let's get right into it. All right, first up, the end of the millennium. You see, this story doesn't actually begin with the end of the world as we know it. It kicks off with the end of a very specific period of time, what's called the Millennial Kingdom. So, what is that? Well, it's described as this 1,000-year reign of peace on a restored, almost Garden of Eden-like version of our planet. But, and this is a really crucial detail, this peaceful kingdom isn't the final eternal state. Nope, it's more like a prelude to what's coming next. This chart really lays it out, doesn't it? On one side, you've got this temporary, earthly kingdom that has a very specific purpose, and on the other, you have the eternal, perfect, final destination. Getting this distinction is totally key to understanding the entire sequence of events that follows. So, how do you get from that temporary kingdom to the forever state? Well, it's not a simple or smooth transition. This interpretation explains that there's one last dramatic test of humanity's will, and that brings us to our next section, Satan's final test. Okay, so imagine this. 1,000 years of perfect peace, evil is totally bound, and then something completely unexpected happens. Satan is let out of his prison. Now, this isn't some cosmic accident. It's presented as a necessary final move in a divine plan. And here's the play-by-play of what happens. Satan emerges and manages to deceive the generations who were born during that 1,000-year peace. These are people who have literally never known evil. A rebellion quickly forms, but it's over as fast as it begins. A decisive divine act ends it instantly. And this is framed as the absolute last conflict in all of human history. But you gotta wonder, right? Why? Why allow chaos back into a perfect world, even for a moment? The source material we're looking at addresses this head-on. It explains that this rebellion serves as a kind of final spiritual filter. And here's the key. This test isn't for people who are already saved. It's for this unique generation that grew up without any concept of evil, kind of like Adam and Eve in the garden. The test is just there to reveal what's truly in their hearts when they are finally, for the first time, presented with a choice. With that last rebellion put down, all of human history has pretty much reached its conclusion. So now, the whole narrative shifts to the ultimate moment of accountability for every single person who has ever lived. We're talking about the final judgment. It's called the Great White Throne Judgment. And get this, at this point, the entire original universe, the first heaven and first earth, is said to have just passed away. It's gone. And all of humanity, from every age, is brought before this throne for one final judgment. The judgment itself is based on two sets of heavenly records. First, you've got the Book of Life, which has the names of the redeemed. But then, there are the books of deeds, a perfect record of everything anyone has ever done, said, or even thought. I mean, everything. These books are what determine rewards for some and the basis of judgment for others. So for anyone whose name is not in that book of life, the outcome is something the Bible calls the second death. And just to be clear, this isn't a physical death. It's described as a final, irreversible, and eternal separation from God. Now, everything we've talked about, the millennium, the final test, the judgment, it all builds to this incredible climax, the arrival of humanity's final eternal home, the city from heaven. So, once the judgment is done and the old creation is completely gone, an entirely new one appears, and descending out of this new heaven is a breathtaking city, the New Jerusalem. The way it's described is just beautiful. It says, the city is like a bride beautifully dressed for her husband. And that metaphor, I mean, it's not just about being pretty. It's about perfection, about readiness, and about the sheer joy of this ultimate union between God and humanity. And life in this city, it's a complete 180 from all the suffering we know. God himself lives right there with people. Death, mourning, crying, pain, all of it is just gone. Forever. The city doesn't even need a sun or a moon because God's own glory is the light.
It's a vision of absolute, mind-bending perfection, right down to the streets of transparent gold.
And if you strip away all of that incredible imagery for just a second, the core message is actually really simple. It's relational. It's about restoring a perfect family where people get to live as God's children, right there in His presence forever.
So, what's the point of all this? I mean, what's the big takeaway from such a detailed, elaborate vision of the future? Well, that brings us to our final section, the meaning of this hope.
You see, according to this interpretation, the purpose of this whole vision isn't just to satisfy our curiosity about some far-off cosmic timeline. No, it's meant to have a real, profound impact on how we live our lives right here, right now. The idea is that this vision acts as an anchor. The hope of this perfect eternal future is meant to give you the strength to get through the difficulties of today. It completely reframes our struggles as temporary and gives us this powerful motivation to live, victoriously. So, whether you see this as a literal prophecy or maybe as a powerful metaphor for ultimate justice and restoration, the vision of the New Jerusalem has shaped the hopes of millions. And it leaves all of us with a final question to think about. What is the power and what is the purpose of having such a profound vision for the end of the story?